All right, take two here. But first take on Hoge Jahns. Welcome in. Coming up on Hoge Jahns, tough loss at Lambeau yesterday. Jahns is on his way back. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to dissect. Of course, coming down to the last play. Big picture, small picture. That's why you're here. Hoge Jahns starts right now. What's up? Welcome in. Hoge Jahns with you live on YouTube. Hopefully on the correct channel this time.
Twice, baby.
That's right. Some of you got a great extra bonus show on time, just on a different channel. We don't know how that happens. That's okay. Welcome in. A lot to talk about. Bears fall to the Packers. You know that by now. We have a lot to discuss. Jahns is in a hotel room somewhere in the state of Wisconsin, working his way back.
If you saw the previous podcast 10 minutes ago, you know where I am, but I'm not going to tell you.
Right now it's a secret.
Now it's a secret.
But there are 100 or so people driving up I-94 right now trying to find you. So
at the Watertown Brewery in Grafton.
Great place. Absolutely. Welcome in. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you're not already. We do go live on YouTube here on Monday mornings or whatever the morning is after the day the Bears play to break things down for you. And of course, always on YouTube here 3 times a week and as a podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast. So rate and review the pod. Hit that like button if you're with us on YouTube. We appreciate it very, very much. And a lot to get into. Johnsy, I kind of already went on a little bit of a monologue on the other show we did. So I guess I'll just do sort of a shortened version of it here so that people can hear it. But look, I think the bad news is that the Packers kind of confirmed my fear that they're rounding into Super Bowl form. Offensively with Jordan Love, they're getting more consistent. They're getting healthier with their wide receivers. You saw what Christian Watson was able to do yesterday. He's becoming a threat that they just didn't have earlier in the year. And Love's playing better. So you're getting more consistency from your quarterback position. That's all good. And then defensively, they have a great defense. They have a good defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, and they have that game wrecker in Micah Parsons. So that's kind of the bad news. They will be jumping up into my Super Bowl tier, Jahns, this week in the power rankings. The good news is the Bears were right there. They were right there in that game. They could have wilted. It was 14-3, and they were resilient once again. They were tough. They wore down that good Packers defense I just told you is Super Bowl worthy. In the second half, they pushed them around. The run started to click as that game went on. And so, you know, you saw the last 2 weeks. These are the teams you're going to play in the playoffs. You beat the Eagles on the road. You were right there down to the final play with the Packers on the road. And so I think the Bears have also validated themselves as a contender. But I think there's also 2 things that are kind of holding them back that they still need to figure out here if they're going to be true Super Bowl contenders. One, I think, is fixable. That is the difference we had in Caleb Williams and Jordan Love yesterday. Caleb Williams was not consistent yesterday. That inaccuracy is still an issue and has been now for basically a month. So it's got to improve, or the Bears just aren't going to be able to pull out these types of games in January when it matters. But I do think that improvement can still happen. You still see the great plays at times, and we know the talent that Caleb has. The one I'm more worried about, Jahns, is the lack of pass rush. They don't have Micah Parsons. They have Montez Sweat. and Austin Booker. Booker actually played more snaps than Sweat did yesterday. He played 89% of the snaps. Sweat is a good player who you have to game plan for, but he's not a blue chip pass rusher. He's not a game wrecker. He's not what Micah Parsons is for the Packers. And it just does not seem like that pass rush is going to come around this season. So it seems like those two things right now are holding this team back. Certainly were a huge difference of why they weren't able to beat the Packers yesterday, Johns. But one of those two things I do think can still come around this season. And if it does, I mean, you got to take the Bears seriously anyway, but then I think you really have to take them seriously.
I said this previously 15 minutes ago on another channel, and I'm going to repeat what I said. It's a like and a takeaway at the same time. I like that the Bears made this a game. I like that we got to cover and watch a game where the Bears had a halftime deficit, but the game didn't turn into a full game butt kicking, by the Green Bay Packers. We've covered too many of those games where Aaron Rodgers takes a halftime lead and then blows up the Bears in the second half. We know how this plays out. We've seen different games play out in different ways for the Green Bay Packers where they just rout the Bears and win handily. This has not happened. I would argue that the Bears were the better team in the second half. I would argue that the Bears' offensive line dominated the Packers' defensive line on Micah Parsons in the second half. Outside a few big plays, I would say, the Bears were the better team in the second half in Green Bay. And that to me says something. They didn't win, but there are still signs of progress. And I know we're going to talk about Caleb a lot in this podcast. We'll get to that later. But to me, that this didn't turn into a complete butt kicking by the Packers, that's meaningful. That's progress. The Bears were in this game. It came down to the final 20-something seconds. That's significant to me considering how this rivalry has become over the past 10 years.
100%. And now I think the question is, short term. First of all, short term, they get the Browns at home. The Packers got to go to Denver. So they could be back in first place next week. By the time the Packers come to Soldier Field a week from Saturday, it could be right in the same situation.
So the Bears went. Do I have this right? They went from first place in the NFC to seventh place.
Yes.
From the first seed in the playoffs to the final seed in the playoffs. That's how close this is.
Yeah, the NFC is wild right now, and there is a scenario where, even Ben Johnson said, you got to get to 11 wins to get in. There is actually a scenario where there might, for the first time, be an 11-win team left out, which would be crazy. So if that's the case, you got to win 3 out of these last 4. But let's say at least you got to win 2. But you can do that. You get the Browns and you get this rematch against the Packers, and you can knock it out in the next 2. That would be ideal. So I think everybody can kind of take a deep breath this morning and realize that. And now you still got to go out there and perform. And it's no guarantee that they win the rematch.
You want to enter this Caleb conversation? You need Caleb Williams to outplay Shedeur Sanders at Soldier Field next week.
Well, that should be a given.
Did you see the numbers that Sanders put up this past week? He wasn't bad. He wasn't bad at all. There was a lot of production.
What, they were playing the Titans, weren't they?
Yeah. So what?
All right. Well, I stand by what I said. If you can't outplay Shedeur Sanders, then the Bears do have a quarterback problem. But I don't think they have a quarterback problem. I think they have a young quarterback who is still developing. And so let's talk about the last play.
Okay.
I've watched it endlessly from every angle at this point. And I think it's super interesting, Johns, because it's not exactly the same formation, same personnel, but it's essentially the same play they ran in Philly last week, where he hit it to Cole Kmet over the top. Now, one thing that stands out to me about that play is when we heard it from Ben Johnson, he said Cole was not the primary read on the play, but Caleb saw him pop open. And so he passed on DeAndre Swift, who was open in the flat, threw it over the top to Cole Kmet. It was a great throw. It was a dime. Bears get it. They beat the Eagles. So they go back to it. Remember, go back to what Ben Johnson says. Make the same things look different. Different things look the same.
Yeah.
So he made it.
Same concept, different play.
Try. Well, I mean, there was a little different formation. I mean, they didn't have the three. They
Same
didn't
concept.
have the trips tight ends to the left, but it's essentially the same play. So they're trying to make it look a little different. Now, interestingly, they also ran the same exact play, and I think it was the same formation earlier in the game on second down when Caleb kept it for that first down. Do you remember that? It was like 4th and short, and he just kept it. That's part of the play too. He can run it. So you could say, oh, maybe they went to the well too many times, except for the fact that Cole Kmet did come wide open. He did pop wide open. So for me, and I watched it back from the tight end zone angle where you can see Caleb's eyes. And the big difference is, unlike in Philly last week, where he peeks at Cole, even though he's not the primary target, he starts his rollout to the left, Johns. He peeks at Cole. He sees him. He says, screw this open flat to DeAndre Swift, and he throws it. This time around, he didn't peek at Cole. I watched it very closely with his eyes. He's looking at Swift the entire time. And it's just too bad, because if he had peeked at Cole like he did a week ago, he would have seen that he came open right away, and it would have been a much easier play, much easier throw, much easier touchdown. So he didn't. And that's like part of this journey, right? Like, Swift was covered. He's he's looking at it maybe a little bit too long. Maybe then he's thinking about running it, but both of those were covered in my opinion. And I think there is one big difference, right? When they ran that play with Cole last week, when they hit the touchdown, the game wasn't on the line. You don't lose the game if you don't get the first down. This time you have to get at least the first down. So I imagine that that's why he's concentrated more on the flat, maybe why he didn't peek at Cole Kmet, why he's hanging on it a little bit longer, because that should theoretically be the same, the right play. And go back to Philly a week ago, Swift was open, so the flat should be open, right? But it wasn't, and so I get it. It's a tough situation. I think you can make a bunch of excuses, but the bottom line is, somehow, some way, you got to make the play. I mean, that's what the expectation is. You are a starting quarterback in the NFL. You're the number 1 overall pick. It sucks it didn't happen, but when Cole Kmet comes open, that wide open, you expect it to be a touchdown.
The play worked. The play itself is good. I like the play call. If you're disputing or arguing against the play call, then you're doing this wrong. It worked. It was good play call. Let me read you something from Matt Schneidman today. You need the Packers' perspective on things sometimes. All right. This is from Matt in The Athletic, friend of the show. You saw him here on Friday. The Packers were in a zero defense, no deep safeties, and Nixon lined up 5 yards across from wide receiver DJ Moore on the right side of the offensive formation. Moore was Nixon's assignment. But as Williams faked the handoff to running back DeAndre Swift and Moore crossed the formation behind the line of scrimmage, tight end Cole Kmet leaked free on a corner route from the left side of the offensive formation. So as Nixon followed Moore horizontally, he quickly changed course vertically, abandoning his assignment to follow Kmet into the end zone. Kmet was safety Evan Williams' assignment, but Williams followed Swift to the flat. Linebacker Edgerrin Cooper had eyes on Caleb Williams to prevent him from running past the sticks himself. Swift was linebacker Quay Walker's assignment, and Evan Williams knew that, but Williams said it would have been pitch and catch between Caleb Williams and Swift for a touchdown since Swift was right in front of him. In other words, Nixon covered for Williams after Williams, in this sense, covered for Walker after Packers linebacker appeared to be slow getting to the flat, having to avoid running into cornerback Carrington Valentine. The play worked.
The play worked.
The play worked.
The play worked. Yeah.
The play worked. The play worked. Keshawn Nixon, who made the play, he wasn't even supposed to cover Cole Kmet. As Matt concludes this, with Swift covered, Caleb Williams threw across his body into the end zone for Kmet. He underthrew Kmet, and Nixon skied for the uncontested interception.
But that's playing football, right? Right? Like that's part of the game. That's what Caleb did last week. Cole wasn't the first read, but he saw him pop open. He improvised, and he played football, right? And this time, and I think that's it's kind of a good way to conclude this is, I mean, this conversation about this play, like that's football. I mean, one team's going to make a play. The other is, and it sounds like sometimes it doesn't sound like hard hitting analysis. So I apologize. But the reality is Packers made plays yesterday. The Bears didn't. And that goes on defense too. Right. Plays could have been made. Like look at what Brisker said in the locker room when he was asked, I think by Courtney Cronin on the Bo Melton touchdown. Was there miscommunication? Well, he said, I'm not going to say anything. I got to make the play. Well, so there probably was a miscommunication, but you improvise and you try to make the play sometimes. And it didn't happen. They made the play. Bo freaking Melton, who was playing defensive back earlier this season. I think that was his third catch of the entire year. I mean, if that's not the most Packers-Bears thing I tried to warn you about all season. I mean, how does that happen every time these teams play? There's always some... Here's the prayer ball, the random guy. Like
that and Jordan Love has continued. Like we've seen Aaron Rodgers make great throws, Brett Favre make throws, but Jordan Love, like the throws he makes off the back foot, where you're just like, okay, this doesn't look good, and then it just gets there. Yeah. Like at this point, I'm just impressed. I really am. The fundamentals need to be cleaned up, but he keeps drifting backwards. He's got this talent for it. Like Jaquan Brisker mentioned that after the game. He's able to drift more to buy himself time and still deliver the ball accurately, even though his fundamentals aren't exactly perfect when he delivers such passes.
I mean, exactly. Like at some point, you just got to hand it to him.
Yeah.
You do. All right, let's take a quick timeout. We'll come back. We'll go through our likes and dislikes, and I know there will be a lot of them. Both ways. Plenty of likes, plenty of dislikes from the Bears' loss to the Packers. But we do have to take a quick timeout. Do not go anywhere. A lot coming up on the show. But first, well, we keep telling you this. One touchdown can change everything, and certainly the case yesterday and the touchdown that didn't happen at the end. That's football. The crowd, the momentum, the game itself, it never gets old. You can feel that same rush with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Missouri listeners, DraftKings Sportsbook, now live in the Show Me State. And the best part, new customers bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code Hoge and Jahns. That's code Hoge and Jahns. Bet $5. Get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, pass-through of per-wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms or responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
And there is still time to get a great gift for someone, maybe yourself even, ahead of the holiday season here. Aura Frames. Aura Frames is the hidden gem that becomes the favorite gift long after the wrapping paper is gone. We gave this to actually, I shouldn't even say we did. Somebody gave this to my aunt and uncle a few years ago up in Minnesota. We're able to send photos of our kids straight to their Aura Frame at any time. I can take a picture right now here of the show, send it to them. That would be a weird photo to do it with, but I could do it.
I think you should do it. I think you should.
That's how simple it is. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com. You'll get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code CHGO at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code CHGO. This deal is exclusive to our listeners. Frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning Hoge Jahns at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Johns, you want to start us off with one of your likes and dislikes, which I should tell you, we have a new sponsor for likes and dislikes this week. We are very happy to have the Upside app on board. Download the free Upside app. Use promo code Chicago to get an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas. likes and dislikes?
You ready? I got a like. Or sorry, let's start with a dislike. You mentioned this off the top, and I think we need to talk about it a little bit more because I think if we're going to start ranking the Bears' needs this offseason, we know where they have to start. It's the defensive line. I really don't like the pass rush. I don't know what the answer is. We thought Austin Booker would provide a little juice, a little energy to the defensive line. He's playing more. He's playing okay. But there's a ceiling here. Maybe he gets better in a little bit. Montez Sweat the same. I thought Grady Jarrett was better, but the pass rush numbers they're not good enough right now. I just look at what the Packers did with Micah Parsons. The Bears don't have a Micah Parsons. They don't have an Aiden Hutchinson. They don't have a game changer like that you're expecting to bring consistent pressure in the postseason. I just go back to 2018. Like the Bears had Mitch Trubisky, a quarterback they believed in. Obviously, that didn't work out, but they went all in and got a Khalil Mack. I'm wondering what the Bears' answers are for the pass rush going forward, because if you're going to be a postseason team, you need more disruption up front. It doesn't exist right now. I understand the idea behind blitzing with the dime package and being more exotic and all the things that Dennis Allen needs to do in third down, but you're doing that because you don't have a game changer, a true game wrecker on third down for you at the defensive end spot.
Johns, this courtesy of Pro Football Focus. Jordan Love against the Bears blitz yesterday. 9 of 12, 171 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, a 156.3 passer rating. 12 blitzes, 9 completions, straight up murder with how he diced them up. I think you got to give Matt LaFleur a lot of credit, the coaching staff, for having a plan. They've seen this now on tape. They've kind of known that. Yeah, I mean, you just said it really well there, Johns. All these dime packages and blitzes they're doing it out of necessity. The most frustrating part for me, look, I talked to Drew Dahlman about this last week. There's only a few Micah Parsons in the league. There's Myles Garrett, there's Max Crosby, Will Anderson certainly starting to put himself into that conversation. But we're talking about a handful of absolute true game wreckers. So there's plenty of other teams that are getting by without those guys. Is it great to have one? Yes. What's frustrating to me is for what the Bears are spending on their D-line, they should at least be one of these teams that can get by without a game wrecker. They invested heavily in Montez Sweat. They spent a ton of money on Dayo Odengbo, and you can't just blame the injury because he wasn't doing much before the injury. And they spent a lot of draft capital. They spent money on Grady Jarrett. I think Grady Jarrett's had a bigger impact in the locker room as a leader this year than he has on the field with actual production. And a second-round pick on Gervon Dexter. A third-round pick on Zach Pickens, who isn't even here. And they traded back into the draft to get Austin Booker. That's the frustrating part, is they have spent a lot of money and draft capital, and they're not getting the value out of it.
Yeah. It's I had some stats pulled up, but what's the point? If anything, if we're looking ahead a little bit, if you're looking for reasons to be optimistic about the next week, I know the Cleveland Browns have Myles Garrett, another generational pass rusher, but the Green Bay Packers are going on the road to Denver, who might have the best defense in the entire NFL. Top 5, in my opinion, up there with the Houston Texans and the Cleveland Browns. And they, their pass rush numbers are insane. Denver Broncos, 55 sacks, 120 quarterback hits. Nobody's even close to them in terms of what they do to quarterbacks. So maybe we'll find out how real what Jordan Love is, how good he is next week when he's under this amount of pressure on the road in Denver.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. But yeah, it just I thought it was a big, huge difference in the game was how the Packers dealt with the Bears, pressure packages, and the Bears more so in the first half. I mean, I'm already halfway through the first half in terms of looking at Caleb's film, and like there was at one point there was 3 straight plays where Micah Parsons messed it up, caused a throwaway, got a hit. There's one play where Jonah Jackson just got beat one-on-one. That's going to happen against Micah Parsons. There's another one where I already put the screenshot out on Twitter, and I hate screenshots for the most part, but sometimes from a pass protection standpoint, they tell the story. They had 4 guys around Quay Walker, and Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons are coming up right up the middle untouched.
Yeah.
And it looks like Caleb's about to die. Like, screenshot, film, whatever. Can't happen. You got to sort that out. And at least the running back in that situation, in my opinion, DeAndre Swift has to pick up one of those 2 guys.
Didn't it seem like he left the backfield too early? Like, I know he's becoming a check down option there. So
yes, you have to pass protect first.
I like to hear what the answer is. Maybe that's what he's supposed to do when he sees them looping around. Like, okay, I'm supposed to release now since nobody's going to be covering me. Something to get to with Ben Johnson later.
Right. Well, look, DeAndre Swift's not going to block Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary at the same time. No. So it's still a problem.
Without an ensuing penalty.
but you'd like to still see him stay in there and try. And amazingly, Caleb, the outcome on that play was Caleb throwing the ball away.
Yeah.
So I credit to Caleb.
It's a win.
Still isn't taking a sack. At one point, Fox put up, I don't remember what it was exactly, but they put up an insane graphic where Caleb has faced X many of unblocked pressures this year, and he hasn't taken a single sack.
Oh, and I did see that. Yes. Yeah.
It was like 33 or something like that. Whatever it was.
Since we're on this topic, did you hear Tom Brady's analysis about, the Bears scramble drill, essentially, how Caleb gets out of the pocket so quickly. It's almost too fast for the receivers to
come back.
They have to, come back. And now it looks choppy. The scramble drill. I didn't hear it. I saw it. I read about it later. What did you make of it?
I didn't hear it because we're doing the watch along, so we can't have the sound on too loud, unfortunately. But these are the games where I will actually go back and listen to the commentary because I want to hear what Tom Brady has to say. But that's super interesting because there was a few weeks ago where I was in the locker room and I was trying to ask Roma Dunze, DJ Moore about the scramble drill because it seems to me like it's still not where it needs to be, and they're missing opportunities. But they were all like, no, it's, it didn't seem like it was that big of a concern to them at the time. And they're acknowledging that, look, sometimes it's going to work out, sometimes it's not, because you're just sort of freelancing at that point for the most part. You have these rules that you try to follow, but it's not like everybody runs the same route every time there's a scramble drill. No, but to me, it still looks disjointed.
I had just never heard it described that way. And it's when it's Tom Brady describing it that way, I think it's even more notable because maybe he's seeing something or identifying that he's analyzing something that I think we're all missing in a sense. It's just interesting. I didn't like the third down defense. Okay. I understand why you have to blitz. We went over that because of the lack of pass rush, but the Packers had answers for it. But even when they were in the right spots at the right moments, the Packers were better. Let me bring up this third down. This is my least favorite play of the game. 3rd and 2 from the Bears 28. Josh Jacobs right end to the Chicago 7 for 21 yards, tackled by Kevin Byard. He got through 4 tacklers, starting with Montez Sweat, Jalen Johnson, DeMarco Jackson, and Javon Dexter, who should have cleaned up that play. Should have been a tackle for loss or error at best for the Packers. No gain. But instead, Josh Jacobs managed to get through all 4 would-be tacklers on a crucial 3rd down and turns it into a 21-yard gain. Like, that is unacceptable. It's not just bad tackling. It's a lot of bad everything for the Chicago Bears in a crucial moment.
Johns, I thought that was the play of the game. I know everybody's going to talk about the interception. It's going to be analyzed to death. It already has been, and it should be. Don't get me wrong. But that goes back to what I was just talking about with the amount of money you spent on these defensive players up front. You have a guy bottled up in the backfield and didn't make the play. I mean, Dexter comes in there and just sort of tries to throw his shoulder at him. Dude, you're a massive human being. Wrap him up. Take him down.
Wrap up.
And you make that stop, and it's a field goal attempt, and it's not an easy one. It's not a gimme. I'll say that. Brandon McManus has had his struggles this year. But you give him the field goal instead of the touchdown. I mean, you don't know how the rest of that plays out offensively. But if you are in the exact same situation, you do have the option then to just kick the field goal to tie and not go for it on 4th down. Now, I have a feeling Ben might have done it anyway. But, yeah, you can't let that happen.
The Bears had momentum. They had that 17-play, 83-yard scoring drive. And they're responding. Like, this game is okay, I agree with you. I mean, that is the game right there. If you think about it, like, it allowed the Packers to respond with a touchdown instead of a field goal. Or even, even better maybe for the Bears if they miss the field goal or they go for it on 4th and 5 and they fail to convert. You need to make that tackle. 4 players, including 2 of your best players in that situation, you have to get Josh Jacobs down on the ground.
All right, another dislike for me. I promise there will be some likes. Well, here, I like that the Bears still ended up with a positive EPA per play. Their success rate in this game offensively, Johns, was actually 51.4%. That might surprise you. It's in the 85th percentile. It's only a tick below where the Packers were. The Packers were 51.9. Bears 51.4. So not all is lost offensively. But look, Johns, the Bears have been awesome with explosives all season, right? We've been talking about all season. They've been up there at the top of the league in explosives. Here's the difference in explosive. This is courtesy of Sumer Sports, great newsletter they send out on Monday mornings. The Bears' explosive percentage yesterday in Green Bay was 5.7%. That was in the 15th percentile. The Packers' explosive, 17.3%. That is in the 96th percentile. So 2 areas where the Bears have been really strong: explosives and middle of the field, throwing in the middle of the field. They're bad in the middle of the field yesterday, 11.4%, 14th percentile. So 2 areas where they've been strong, they struggled. Again, credit Jeff Hafley, credit the Packers defense. They made those adjustments to eliminate the explosives. The Bears just weren't as explosive as a football team. It's just, you look at all these little things, like everything we're talking about, the missed tackle here, don't have the right coverage on 3 explosives you gave up on that end. Like, again, you just you add 1 explosive on offense and you take away 1 of theirs. Like, that's how small these margins are. And that, by the way, that was an explosive run where you had that missed tackle. That counts as an explosive play because it's a run over 10 yards. So, and you were still right there. You were still right there at the end of the game. So this thing could easily flip next Saturday at Soldier Field.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to have the conversation about the quarterback now, or you want a few more? I'll give you a few more.
Yeah, do a few more. We'll take our last break, and then we'll talk.
Okay. Name this player.
Oh boy.
3 targets, 1 reception for -4 yards.
That would be DJ Moore.
Yeah, I don't like that. Don't like that at all whatsoever. And he he deserves to look pissed on the sideline after the game. Like after that final fourth down, fell short or intercepted in the end zone. Did you see the cameras capture him?
Yeah. Well, he probably thought he was open too.
He was open.
Which
I want to
was.
know.
I think that's asking a lot to get all the way to like the fourth read on the play.
Right.
But
it's like the final safety valve, whatever. Yeah, you would think. I know Luther Burden had a better day. That was expected with Roma Dunze out with his foot injury, but I don't know, Adam. Isn't it a bit alarming when one of your best receivers has a stat line like that against a rival like this in an important game like this? Like, I don't get it. I really don't. Maybe it's play calling, maybe it's Caleb going through things, but I'm willing to bet. At least I know there's one play on film. I'm hoping you come across it while I'm driving home here from Wisconsin, where he's coming across on a play action play where he looks open for a chunk yardage play. Like, I want to know how many times he's potentially open for receptions and catches when you look at the film. Get back to me on Wednesday. Yes, please.
Yeah. I can check you on one. There was already one. No, it was Burden who came open. There's one time in the first quarter where Caleb checked it down to Manungai and wasn't even accurate on the check down, by the way. And it looked like Luther Burden was open on the in, and he didn't throw it. But I don't have one on Moore yet. We'll see. We'll get through it. I'll keep looking. Yeah,
I do have one more like. I like that the offensive line became a positive in this game by the second half. They had their struggles in the first half. They would be the first players to tell you all about it. Packers got the edge on them in the first half. But in the second half, especially on that 17-play drive, there was a lot of run calls where it's just violent football.
Yeah.
And the Bears' offensive line asserted itself again. I think that's beyond encouraging. That's the Bears' identity right now. And it was good to see it will show up in a game like this again, especially when you're coming back from a deficit.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things you gotta, look at as a positive, because you wore them down as the game went on. And I'm not just talking offensive line. Yeah. How about Kyle Manungai cracking Edgerrin Cooper?
Breaking helmets.
Like, that doesn't even make sense. He's so much smaller. That shouldn't happen. But when you get hit like that by a running back, you're not thinking about that the rest of the game? Because I would be. So you wore them down. Michael Parsons was on the sideline in a crucial moment at the end of the game, trying to catch his breath. So I think that's what I think when going back to how we started the show. Like, you're right there. You're right there with the Super Bowl contender. You're not far off. Just the question remains, can you close those margins while it's still this season? Or is it going to be next year? Like, I think that's the only question here.
Right. Adam, at halftime, the Bears had 28 plays for 71 net yards. The Packers had 33 plays for 207 net yards. And they still made this a game.
Yeah, it looked like it, like to your point earlier, it looked like it could have been a blowout the way things were going. So, all right. We will talk a little bit more about Caleb, and I know this is going to be scary coming out of my mouth, but I have some numbers from Greg Braggs.
Oh, what?
Some numbers that Greg Braggs is texting me. They're kind of numbers. They're kind of more just facts, which is also scary. Facts, Braggs facts, hashtag Braggs facts. I don't know.
Did we verify these?
I don't know. I mean, apparently it's Bragg's research is really what it is. It's Bragg's research, so we're gonna have to trust it.
Okay.
So don't go anywhere, because that, regardless, factual or not factual, it would be entertaining.
I feel like we're stumbling on like a segment here. Bragg's research.
I know.
Research by Greg Bragg.
Well, we might have to run that by the lawyers first. All right. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. But first. All right. Hey, this time of year, especially, you're buying a bunch of gifts. We're in December. You're spending money. We get it. Charity donations, the presents. You're trying to plan your vacations for winter. This is a big time where I'm checking Monarch Money pretty much every day to make sure I am keeping track of everything categorized within our budget, because Monarch is so good with that. Monarch helps you feel organized and confident in your finances because it's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings everything in your financial life together in one clean interface on your laptop or on your phone. And right now, just for our listeners, Monarch is offering 50% off your first year with code CHGO at monarch.com. So as we head into a new year here, now's a great time to sign up. You can use it for this entire calendar year for 50% off. It was named the best budgeting app of 2025 by the Wall Street Journal. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code CHGO at monarch.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code CHGO.
And I want to tell you about Shopify. Shopify is the e-commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. Shopify even powers the CHGO merch store. Look at Adam Hoge if you're watching on YouTube. He's like a walking, talking advertisement. Show us your stuff there. Got the T-shirt on, Hoge Jahns shirt, the Letterman jacket from CHGO.
Shopify powers it all.
Yes, Shopify has got you covered with website creation, product descriptions, email, and social media marketing, and more. They also have AI tools designed to help you maximize sales. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling at shopify.com/allcity. That's shopify.com/allcity.
All right, so I'll pay off the Bragg's research first.
Bragg search.
We were talking about 11 win teams possibly not making the playoffs. And I think I said something like it hasn't happened. It would be the first time an 11 win team hasn't made the playoffs. What I should have added on, because I have looked into this in the past, is since they went to the 14-team playoff. Bragg's, I forgot about the name for this. Brickalytics. This is Brickalytics from Bragg. It's a great point by him. Because there's been 2 teams since they went to 14-team playoff that have won 10 games and not gotten in. So the point here is usually even if you win 10 games, you get in. The way things are trending in the NFC, it does look like you're going to have to win 11 games. And there is a chance that for the first time since they went to 14 playoff teams, that a possible an 11-win team doesn't get in. But if you go back to overall history, Braggs did send this to me. 5 11-win teams have missed the playoffs. The 2008 Patriots being the last one with Matt Castle. No 12-win team has missed the playoffs, but there are realistic scenarios where that could occur this year. He was telling me about this yesterday. Maybe unlikely, but the NFC is stacked. And then this is confirmed, he said. Confirmed. So he's confirmed his own research. Most wins by an NFL team in a regular season without qualifying for the playoffs is 11. It's happened 5 times. Again, the 08 Patriots, 1985 Denver Broncos, 1967 Baltimore Colts, 1963 Green Bay Packers, and the 1962 Detroit Lions. Those teams all won 11 games, did not make the playoffs. But again, all of that was before they had 14 teams now. So, man, it would be something if you won 11 games and didn't get in.
Yeah. I mean, if the Bears could get in with a 500 record in 2020, but can't get in with 11 wins in the first year of Ben Johnson, I would think that's immensely disappointing. Probably. Yeah. I don't even know what that's a reflection of, to be honest with you. I would think 11 wins would get you in this year.
I got an idea. Take care of the Browns this week. Get your rematch win over the Packers. Get that revenge game. And then I would think regardless of what happens in San Francisco against the 49ers, you're at least playing for the NFC North in that last game against the Lions.
Seeding.
Whether that's, against the Pack, maybe you're still competing for the Packers for the division, but it's at least on the table depending on that result, or whatever. They might need some help depending on what the Packers do against the Broncos. And then who did here? Let me look this up real quick. Who do the Packers play in Week 17? I should know that. Get it right here. It's Green Bay Packers go to the Broncos, to the Bears. They have the Ravens at home. Now the Ravens are messy right now, obviously. I think the Packers would be favored in that game. And then they finish at the Vikings. So, and the opportunity is still here. The Bears have, the Bears, do people realize the Bears just played 5 out of 7 games on the road? Because I'm not even sure I realized that until I put it all together this morning. And they went 5-2 in that stretch. Won both home games. Now they have 3 of their last 4 at home as a reward for that. So take care of your business. Win these home games. Beat the NFC North opponents you have on your schedule. It'll take care of itself, regardless of what happens in San Francisco in Week 17. Is that fair?
Very fair.
Yeah. All right. You want to start the Caleb conversation here?
Do you want to start it with the super chat we got?
Oh, sure. Let's do that. Farming Bear, $20. Appreciate the super chat, Farming Bear. The question I have is Ben not calling layups early or Caleb just not hitting them? Seems like second half he did. Just seems to me they could do that earlier. Well, I'll tell you what, his first drop back, I watched it this morning, was a relatively simple throw to Luther Burden on a quick out, basically in the flat. He threw it high. And if he didn't like it, he had DeAndre Swift as the check down open. But it was there and he missed it high. So Caleb said it himself yesterday. He needs to start faster. And Ben talked about this a few weeks ago, I remember. And he's watching warm-up or getting reports from the coaches and warm-ups on just the confidence level, how they're feeling. So whatever it is, they need to start faster as an offense. Caleb needs to start faster because he was here. Let me just do this. He was inaccurate. Here's what I got. First throw, incomplete, inaccurate. Second throw on third down, incomplete, inaccurate. Third throw, John's a third drop back, absolute dart to Colson Loveland. That was a great throw.
Yep.
Loveland didn't hold on to it because he got it stripped after he caught it. So that doesn't count as a completion. Next one, low check down to Monungai that went incomplete when Luther Burden looked open on the end. Then you had throwaway. Jonas Jackson was beat by Parsons, clean inside. You had a check down to Durham Smythe with Parsons applying pressure. That was the first completion of the game. And then you had the throwaway that I talked about earlier when Parsons and Rashawn Gary came unblocked down the middle. That was the first quarter. Incomplete, throwaway, complete on a check down, throwaway. That can't be your first quarter.
No. And those are usually scripted plays that have been practiced more than others. To answer the question, yes, I think there's layups built in. I think a lot of those out routes are called quite a bit, but Caleb just hasn't consistently hit them. Before the game in Philadelphia, he was working on those a lot, and I thought maybe it was because of the weather, but I think it's something he needs to work on. He needs to be able to hit those throws more consistently because they are there in the Bears scheme. They are there in Ben Johnson's play calls. So you could argue Colson Loveland's got to make that catch. I get it. And things would look different if he catches that. I understand that. But at the same time, you have to acknowledge that Jordan Love had an absolute bomb taken off his stat sheet when, Ben Johnson challenged that play. It was to his tight end.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that play.
Let's not forget about that, right? Mm-hmm. That was taken off his stat sheet. But at the end of the day, he still had good numbers. Those plays happen to quarterbacks. I think we have to get to the point in the conversation where those drops, those missed opportunities, which happen every single game for every single quarterback, where we're not talking about them as looming large in a stat line or in a game for a quarterback. Should Colson Lovell make that catch? He absolutely should. But at the same time, the best example I can give you how it works both ways is that bomb. Who was the tight end? I forget the tight end.
I think that was the Musgrave.
Yeah, Luke Musgrave.
Yeah.
Diving catch. Great pass from Jordan Love. Overturned because the ball barely hits the ground. Not in his stat line, but he still had a good day.
Yeah, look, we talked about all week. Ben Johnson challenged the guys in the passing game. Passing game's got to be better. We're winning in spite of our passing game, not because of it. It was a big focus. I said on the pregame show yesterday on CHGO, we always start with what matters most. And I said, sure, for winning this game, get some takeaways, run the ball. That probably matters most for winning this game today. But big picture, boy, you'd love to have that passing game come around, right? You'd love to have Caleb Williams shine in this moment where you get Bears-Packers, Tom Brady on the call, highest rated game of the weekend in that late afternoon window, America's game of the week, and he, puts it all together. What a great opportunity. And the reality is it didn't happen. It was not that game. There was plenty of glimpses. There was plenty of good moments in the second half. That throw to Loveland I just mentioned in the first quarter that fell incomplete was another good moment. But he didn't put it all together. He wasn't the better quarterback on the field in this game. And certainly the passing game didn't come together the way that they had hoped for all week. I just read it off to you. You spent all week working on it, and the first quarter was incomplete, throwaway, throwaway. That's not what they were looking for. And yet, despite all that, you're right there at the end. I'm going to keep saying that. Yeah. You're still right there despite all of this. You're still right there. So it still could click this season, Johns. It could. I don't know how optimistic I am it will, but it could. And if it does, I don't think there's a ceiling on this team.
I think we're all just looking for that one game where he's 17 for 25 or, 19 for 26, where the completion percentage looks better, where the checkdowns are made, the chunk yardage completions are there. But the fact is, for a lot of different reasons, in 9 of the past 10 games, Caleb Williams has not had a completion percentage over 60%.
Yeah.
You and I wrote a lengthy column this past week, how we saw signs of him breaking out. And I still believe that. I saw those signs. I believe in those signs. I think the Bears believe in those signs. I think everybody's just waiting for the breakout. They're waiting for that high percentage completion percentage game where he's taking what the defense is giving him, but also getting those explosive plays that we know Ben Johnson wants part of his offense. I think they're there in the offense. I really do. I think those easy gimme completions are there. They're just not being hit.
All right. You got anything else? I got to save some ammo for CHGO Bears at 1.
Oh, give us a little more.
Actually, we went through everything I got. I got to watch more tape. I got to finish watching the tape, and then I'll have more for Lance.
All right, then let me ask you before we play the
more
voicemails. So when you look at the completion percentage and you see that he hasn't had one since the Ravens game in 9 of the past 10, like he hasn't hit 60%. He's got one game over 300 yards. Like, what do you make of those numbers at this point? We're well past the half-point season. Like, what are you? Yeah,
I mean, that's where I'm. I'm a big believer in sample size, right? So we've been talking about this for weeks. And every week there's kind of there's it's its own story. So there was one game in there where there was a bunch of drops. Remember that? I think we counted 5 drops in one game. Well, his completion percentage would have been well over 60, if not for the drops. Then there was another week where it was obviously he was just too inaccurate, and it wasn't the receiver's fault. And then there was last week against the Eagles, you had multiple guys slipping on routes. And if they don't slip, they catch those balls, he's probably over 60. So you can go each week and come up with this like, yeah, well, this would have been and this would have been. But when you zoom out, we're like, how many games is that? 7 now? Since the Ravens game? Is that what you said?
It's a lot. Yeah. Well, 9 of the past 10 games, he's had a completion percentage under 60%.
Okay. That's a problem. You know what I mean? Like, that's too large of a sample size not to say that. Yeah, it's got to be better. That is a concern. Is the accuracy going to come around? And right now, the sample size says probably not this season. That's what it says.
I think that's fair.
I think
it's fair. Yep.
So, but again, that to me, at least how I'm talking, that is in the context of believing in Caleb, believing he's the guy going forward. I still believe it will come around. I keep saying this. I think it probably all clicks sometime next season. So this is not it's just never going to come around. He's not the guy conversation. That's not what this is. It's just now you have a competitive team. You need the quarterback to play to a certain level to make the playoffs, win in the playoffs, which is the whole point of this. Can he do that this season? Well, right now, the tape, the numbers, there's enough there that it is fair to say that it just doesn't. Not saying it can't happen, but it doesn't seem like it will this year.
Yeah. Like there's a reason why Ben Johnson is on record saying that we're winning despite our passing game. And I know the passing game involves a lot more than just the passer, but the passer is still the most important person within that passing game.
I like that comment we just had up. What was that? I'm Normandy Plummer. He said, I'm still glad we got CW18. At Normandy Plummer. I'm still glad we got CW18. He just needs to be more accurate. Both can be true.
Yep.
Both can be true. So, all right. Voicemail. Katie put these together, turn them around. Our voicemail line, as always, write it down, 224-725-3046. Been a while since we've had a losing edition of the voicemails. This game was certainly up and down. A lot of passion, I'm sure, with Bears and Packers. Let's hear what everybody had to say. It's the Bears loss.
Hello? Do you know who this is?
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
The Hoge Jahns voicemail. The Hoge Jahns voicemail line.
Believe it or not, George isn't at home. Please leave a message at the beep.
Got any questions or comments about the Bears? Give the guys a call before, after, or even during the game.
Go Bears!
Hoge Jahns, Johnsy Bed, Bob Dabrowski calling in live from Mordor, a.k.a. Hell on Earth, a.k.a. Green Bay, Wisconsin. Boys, Bears versus Packers. Here we go. Okay, this is the King of the North on the line. We got King of the Prairie. They're going to just kill. Okay, boys, let's go Chicago Bears. You want a prediction? You want a big, bold prediction? Here's one for you. Darnell Wright scores a touchdown. Over, under, to 1.5 players to throw a pass. Over! Ozzie Trabilio, Giant John, he scores a touchdown. Roma Dunze, he says, psych, I'm not hurt. He scores a touchdown. DJ Moore scores a touchdown. Luther Burden scores a touchdown. Ozzie scores a touchdown. The entire defense, every single tight end to ever play for the Chicago Bears scores a touchdown. Let's go Chicago Bears. Let's take it home. We never taking the Northern, we're never giving it back. That's what Ryan Pope says, and let's live it today, Chicago Bears. Bear now.
Hey, this is Pastor Kevin. I want you to know that I'm being persecuted for my beliefs. People showed up at my church today wearing green and yellow Packers gear, but I'm standing strong. Here was my message in my sermon today.
There's been this rumor going around because of that, the Bears beat the Packers today, that I would preach next week with my shirt off. I don't know who started this. It was my wife or me. I don't know. It's hard to tell where rumors start. But just to, kill this rumor right here, the Bears will beat the Packers, okay? I need to start doing push-ups.
Hoge Jahns, 45 minutes before kick. I don't know what I'm feeling. It's not scared. It's not confident. It's something in between. I'm ready for this to start. Let's go. Bear down.
What's up, Hoge Jahns? Wisconsin Bears fan here at my in-laws' house. They're all big Packer fans. Been coming here, been watching Packer Bears game here for the past 10 years. Unfortunately, I've always been at my parents when we won. Haven't seen a victory here yet, so I need this one, boys. I really, really need this one.
Hoge Jahns, halftime, same old Bears. Hate to say it, same old Bears.
Hi, boys and Katie. This is the Mama Bear. I'm calling from backstage at the Nutcracker. We have a couple of performances today, and I'm able to sneak a peek at the scores between like candy canes and bonbons, but I gotta tell you, this game between the Bears and the Packers has me way more anxious than anything that's happened on stage this weekend. Bear down.
Hey guys, it's Chris in Champaign. It's halftime right now, and while I love Ben Johnson, he is doing a horrible job of coaching this game. I'm sorry, but they don't even look like they were prepared at all this week. I mean, 9 days to prepare, and this is what we got. You can't be talking shit to a floor if you're not even prepared for the game.
I've got a 16-year-old son, and I've tried to convince him that Bears-Packers are really a great rivalry. He's not convinced at all, and I'm starting to agree. We suck.
You know, I've seen this movie a few too many times and really don't like the way it ends.
Guys, they just scored after halftime. Feels like this could potentially be a season-defining drive here. We'll see. We'll see.
Ben Johnson, you are the head coach of the Chicago Bears, not an employee at a window company. Cut it out with the screens. Bear down.
Hey, boys, it's Mike Ruskowski from Fort Wayne, Indiana. It's the beginning of the fourth quarter, and it's Caleb Williams time. Bear down.
Hoge Jahns, I've known this. I've been telling myself this all season, getting my hype up like this, but I know I should have listened to you, Johns. We should know better.
That was heartbreaking.
Hey, Bears fans, B-Man here. Tough loss, and the Packers suck. See you again in 2 weeks. Blink Aaron Rodgers and blink the Packers. Bear down!
Dallas Bears fan here. The Packers.
Oof. Oh man, I thought B-Man was getting last word. Look. Good message, B. Let's just end on this. Can we end on this? Guys, this is not we should know better. This is I hope that what we saw yesterday becomes the norm in the Bears-Packers rivalry. As long as the outcomes vary, right?
Good games.
Yes, guys, that was America's game of the week, and everybody in the country right now is saying that was a great game.
They're in prime time in 13 days.
Exactly. So, look, they're not always going to go. If that is what this rivalry becomes, we are in for a treat for a while. Hopefully that is Caleb Williams versus Jordan Love for a long time. Good defense versus good Bears offensive line. Physical, cold, wet. Like, that was theater. That was great football on a Sunday afternoon. The Bears just didn't win the game. Now we get to see it again on Saturday night on December 20th in another big spotlight with everybody watching. And maybe the Bears will win that one. But this is not we should know better. They can't hang with the Packers. They absolutely can. Those are two good football teams that went at it in the biggest game of the weekend. And the game delivered even if the Bears didn't in the end.
But to your point, go ahead. No. I
was going to say, Katie, there's your short.
Hey, yeah, that works. That works very good, my friend. I think you would just like eventually the Bears have to win some of these to become a real rivalry again. And yes, the emotions were good. Ben Johnson was saying the right things after the game. The Bears players in the locker room, like, I don't know. I felt this. This is like one of my last takeaways. Like, I kind of liked the energy in the Bears locker room after the game. It wasn't distraught. It wasn't really anger. It was like there was like a confidence still there. Like, they know they're a few plays away. They know they're close. They know they have to get better. That's the vibe I got in the locker room, whether it's hearing Cole Kmet speak, Jaquan Brisker speak, or Jalen Johnson speak. Those are three important players to get a vibe from. And I think that's what they were giving off. Three leaders of your team.
If I told you right now the Bears win the last 4 games of the season, would you be shocked?
If they win the last 4?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I would be shocked.
See, I wouldn't be shocked. I'm not saying that's what I would say 3-1.
I wouldn't be shocked by 3-1, but a 4-0 stretch, that'd be surprising. Maybe I'm just still jaded from years before.
Yeah, maybe. I just think it's on the table. They should. Can we agree they should beat the Browns?
Should beat the Browns.
After what we saw yesterday, they can beat the Packers.
Probably going to pick the Bears over the Packers on Saturday night.
Okay. So now they have
I guess
11.
the game I'm looking at is the San Francisco, another primetime game coming after the Packers game.
So bear with me for a second. You just said yourself, let's say that plays out that way. You pick the Bears to beat the Packers. They win. They're now 11-4 going to San Francisco. Are you picking the Bears to win that game? Because if they're 11-4 and they're coming off a win against the Packers, I think the whole city's picking them to beat the 49ers.
I still think the 49ers would be favored. I have to see what the 49ers have the next couple weeks.
We can look at that. Their defense is...
It's not good in terms of a pass rush. They might be worse than the Bears, and there's reasons for that.
And they're well coached, but they're banged up. So they're coming off wins against the Cardinals, Panthers, Browns. And they're on a bye week. And then they get to play the Titans and the slumping Colts. So they might be on a 5-game winning streak going into that.
But what I would say, okay, what they would eventually face in the Chicago Bears at that primetime game is going to be a completely different animal than they just had faced in the previous, 5 or 6 weeks there?
Yeah. Sneaky rest advantage for the Bears going into that game. Say, the Bears have to fly out to the West Coast. They're playing Saturday night against Packers. The 49ers are playing Monday night in Indianapolis. So they have the same flight back out west and 2 less days of rest.
Okay, so now you're talking me into a 3-1 here for sure.
Okay.
Let's not you're getting way.
So now they're 12-4, and it all comes down to the Lions game at home in Week 18.
Yeah, who's playing? What's the seeding?
I'm not saying 4-0 is the most likely outcome. I'm saying this team has shown you enough, though. They had a 4-game winning streak earlier in the season and a 5-game winning streak. Right? Yeah, 4 games in a row. They lost the game to the Ravens, then they won 5 in a row. Now they lost to the Packers. It would not shock me if they won 4 in a row again. I don't think you can rule that out. There's a little optimism for your money.
I was about to say. Good for you this Monday morning.
I don't think it's doom and gloom.
That's what happens when you don't get your butt kicked, by the Packers.
They played well yesterday for the most part. It was a good game. I think part of this is everybody, you, me, everybody watching this show, watching the game. Like, the Bears have been bad for so long. We're not used to really understanding what good football still looks like. Like, you can be a good team and still lose.
Yeah,
it's the NFL. Someone's got to lose, unless you're the Packers and you tie the Cowboys. Then everybody loses. All right. Please hit that like button.
They may lose because of that later in the year.
They might. Hit that like button. Appreciate you guys being here. Sorry for the little mix up at the beginning. I think we got that figured out and we still did a good show. So some people got a little bonus episode off the top.
Yes, they did.
1 p.m. live on CHGO Bears. Ben Johnson talks at 3 later. We got Bears After Dark tonight. Always got you covered, wall to wall. I think Bears After Dark's actually earlier because we have a little holiday party at CHGO tonight.
Yeah.
We're back on Wednesday, midweek episode, and we'll be turning our attention to the Cleveland Browns. At least a little bit. We'll probably still be talking about this game a little bit too. Talk to you on Wednesday.
See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.